Kartik Mohindra, Chief Marketing Officer and Head of Global Business at Pernod, is joining us. Kartik, thank you very much for your time. Good to have you. We are, understand that you have planned launches and have launched a premium liquor, which is single malt in India called Longitude 77. I want to understand exactly what is the strategy here, because this is one category of the entire sector which is doing very well, and you are also upping your game here. Talk to us about your overall plan here.
It's a very clear trend towards premiumization. The younger, more affluent consumers, both men and women, are, as compared to their previous generations, are more inclined towards drinking lesser but drinking better. And therefore, from our perspective, we do believe that the consumer landscape is fast evolving, newer opportunities are emerging, newer categories are being experimented with. And one of those in the recent past has been uh, the creation of a segment which is called the Indian single malt whiskey segment. And there have been quite a few players and quite a few craft brands that have emerged in the recent past, and they've carved a bit of a niche for themselves. And yeah, and this is something that Pernod Ricard India has been exploring for a while. The other main aspect that we wanted to go after was there's this whole pride of India, led by the government, and we wanted to put together a brand which represents the rich cultural diversity and terroir that this great nation of ours has on offer, and therefore the birth of Longitude 77, a line that passes through the heart of India, right from Jammu and Kashmir all the way to Kerala. So that's really where it was, and we had this grand launch a couple of days back.
Sure, Karthik, point taken. Of course, you're looking at India very seriously. You are one of the large players with almost a quarter of India's overall whiskey market being controlled by you. You're eyeing a 3x jump in sale in India over the next 10 years. But tell me one thing, that volume growth of around 15 to 20% that we have been reading about, is that the reality on the ground? And secondly, what are you doing to tap all of this?
So, yeah, I'll answer the first part. I think the entire Indian alcohol industry, which has, like I mentioned to you, is still very bottom centric, as in lower down the pricing ladder. But if you put all categories together, it's having a sort of a mid to high single digit growth year after year. The figures that for instance, you quoted, which is about 15% and so on and so forth, is a reality uh, at the premium end of the business. This is where I guess all single malts or aged blended scotches, etc., compete with each other. But that's really where the sustained future growth engines are going to come from. I think our particular outlook for the next several years is pretty much on similar lines. We expect the overall category to grow at a high single digit, again, because of the fabulous macroeconomic factors that we hope are going to continue. Um, but we also do believe that in particularly the urban and the semi-urban centers, the premium end is going to keep outpacing the entire business category as a whole, right? So that's really where the whole business is. Pernod Ricard is on track with the pace of the industry, and we are actually hopeful that our whole innovation pipeline, and which is a fairly significant one, is going to help us making sure that we capture all available white spaces, all available consumer opportunities, and we're able to further accelerate our presence in this country.
Okay, sure enough, you are all set to capture these trends. But talk to me a bit more in terms of, let's say, which geographies are doing better, if there is a bit of distinction, because you did talk about how it's not homogeneous across the country, and also in terms of various brand, which ones are doing better, Blender's Pride, Royal Stag, Imperial Brew, etc. Which are the ones which are outpacing the rest of the market, you would say?
On the geographical side of things, you know, um, while India is predominantly, let's say, a whiskey market, as an example, uh, there is also a significant amount of consumption that happens with brandy and rum, but they have a massive skew to the southern states of this country, right? Historically have been. So that's one example of how sometimes geographical tastes and palates differ, and therefore one has to make sure then we are understanding what the consumer is about. The other thing is when you look at the premium end of the business, the urban centers are very strong, very important, but we are seeing, because of again the proliferation of the growth engine that India is all about, we are seeing the emergence of many smaller cities, or previously where the indexation would be low, and these are the big cities that are going to be the future engines. Right? They already are. You're seeing a lot of industry come up in these cities. You're seeing a lot of investments from infrastructure by the respective governments coming in these cities, which is again fueling growth. Right. See the emergence of so many different clusters of consumers in different geographies, which, when we keep a horizon of the 7 to 10 years ahead of us, is going to represent a very different picture.
Okay, point taken. But explain to us the flip-flop that we have seen around the Delhi license and where does it stand now?
So it's simply put, it's an ongoing conversation. We hope to be able to operate in Delhi again, and I hope that happens sooner rather than later.
Okay, fingers crossed for that, Kartik. Appreciate you joining us on the show. So that's the latest coming in from Pernod Ricard.